Good morning. It's a good Monday morning. How are you all doing this morning? So while I'm just waiting for you to join me, I'm just going to adjust that because we're not quite straight. There we go. Good morning. So we've had a lot of interest in our current course. So those of you who've just asked to join the free open page. So good morning, Emma Runs, Carol Thompson, Rebecca Bramall, Liz Patmore, Yvonne Dearman, Faye Holmes. Hello, Kath Rylands. It's like to see, come and say hello if you're there. So Alison Gaylard, Sheila Dearden, Megan O'Brien, Lindsay Foote, Tracy Mayo, and Geraldine Wall. They're all people who've just come along to join us for the first time. How are you all this morning? So this morning, you can't see me yet. I'm just doing a sound check. So if you have just popped on, do say hello. The comment at the top that says StreamYard, if you click on that and put your name in there, it doesn't take any personal details. All that does is it allows me to see your name on the StreamYard comments box. So I'm going to come and say hello to you. Let's hoping that if you can hear my voice, please do check in and let me know that I'm there, because I do get concerned sometimes. Good morning. Here we go. Good morning, Louise. Good morning, Samina. So I thought I would do an introduction for you this morning on SomaSpirals. Good morning, Gillian. On SomaSpirals. So for many people, this will be new, and I'm bringing this to the Live 6 page. We've been doing SomaSpirals for possibly about 18 months in the annual members plus page. And I've been building it up for a while, but I just thought I would bring it to you to the Live 6 page that's starting this evening on a Monday night at 7:15. And I thought I'd give you an introduction to what it's all about. While we're just waiting to see who's just going to come and join us. So good morning. We've got so far, I'd like to say hello to those who are joining us on the Live 6 page this evening. So we've got our Members Plus. We've got some new Members Plus people joined us. So Gillian, it's nice to see you as well. So lovely that you have joining us on our annual membership. We've also got Kim. I know Kim's there. You can say hello. And Elaine Roberts. That's fantastic news. So I'm really, really happy to have you joining us. And then on our Live 6 page tonight, just going to give you a little hello as well. We've got Ellison Westwood, Valerie Donovan, Louise, Louise Cortlett, you're there as well. So Joy, Linda Dutton. Do you know, I can't read my handwriting there. Claire Barrett, Tracy Pickard, Claire Skinner, Vicky Cother, Kay Pilkington. I know you're on the website. So Tess Badcock, haven't seen you for a while. Lovely that you're joining us. Kim Rawlinson, haven't seen you for a while as well. That's lovely. Joanne Smithson and Thelma So thank you. Lovely for you joining us. So SomaSpirals. What is that all about? So SomaSpirals is a name that I've put together, which is a connection of the word soma and spirals. And spirals is the most efficient, not only is it the most efficient pattern of movement, it is actually the point of creation. So I've posted some pictures on my profile last night of spirals. There's some beautiful ones there. So sunflowers, if you look carefully at the seeds, they also do this lovely geometric spiral out. You've got the fingerprint, you've got tornadoes. A favorite of mine is the fern. You know, when a baby fern is first unfolding and you get this really tight curl and it slowly uncurls. And actually, that sort of spiral that you get within the fern, and then you've got the other picture that was there was the baby in womb, the baby in utero. And most people would say, is that a spiral? But yes, if you look at the picture and how the body goes round, if the reason I mention this is in relation to the fern, is that is the same dimensions as the Fibonacci. I'm sure most of you have heard of that Fibonacci spiral. So if you started in the center of the head of the baby and then outlined the Fibonacci spiral over that, baby, if it's lying this way, you would see that it's the same, that your ear is pretty much the same. Good morning, Becky. You will see that spiral everywhere in nature, and it is how things replicate. The closer you look, is that repeating pattern that goes through and spiral. So spirals as the most efficient path of movement. If what people don't tend to know though, is that the blood that goes through your arteries and veins actually spirals. And because it's the most efficient way of using, and it actually a little bit like centrifugal, actually the way that the blood composition then is sort of like, what's in the blood then gets spread out in terms of the size of the particles or molecules in your blood, goes out through in towards the cell walls. But that's how your blood actually circulates all the way through and spiral. Those of you who've done my Celtic heart dance, we talked a lot about this, about how the blood enters the heart chambers and how it leaves, and actually even within the heart chambers it creates this spiraling. I don't know if any of you remember, years and years ago I found a wine decanter, because I love my little demonstration things, Joe. I found a glass wine decanter that had grooves in it, so when you're airing wine and you pour it in, it was to air the wine and spiral it. So I brought it in as a demonstration of like how the blood enters into your heart. It's that chamber and it spirals. Now that's a whole other subject that we could go into, which is like electromagnetic field. But in just terms of like, that is the most efficient path of movement. Also, that is the same for when you breathe. And again, it's little known is this, but at the benefit of breathing through your nose, as yes, you'll have heard me talking lots about how, most people know it warms the air, it filters the air, it helps you to take a deeper breath, and you breathe lower down, calms down into parasympathetic nervous system. The reason why it allows you to take a deeper breath is because the air, when you breathe in through your nose, spirals. So it enters down into, like a helter-skelter you'll have heard me talking about, and goes down into the lungs. So as you're going down. So it's most efficient pattern of movement. And our whole body is designed through spirals. So it may not be immediately obvious that we're spirals, but one of the first ones that I can demonstrate to you, and that some people have come across that have heard me talking about, is the arm. So if you spiral the arm, if you were to hold the upper arm bone still, you can still spiral the lower arm, because these two, so you've got one bone here, and these two bones spiral round. And I absolutely, this is one of my favorite joints in the body. I really love how this does this. So these two bones here, I fix this joint, these two bones then spiral around each other. And this bone here, which is called your radius, and often sort of names in Latin for bones aren't that complicated, and they're actually not even that exciting really. They just simply describe what a bone does, or what muscles attach to it, or what bones attach to it. It's actually quite simple really. So this is called your radius bone, radial bone, because it actually draws a radius. It attaches, it comes down and finishes at the end where your thumb is, and it does this radius around as you turn. Okay, so the most efficient use of is this spiral, and it's used there is, can you imagine the dexterity? Most people say in terms of like human evolution, it was about our dexterity of our hands. What doesn't get talked about very much actually is the spiraling of the forearm. Can you imagine sort of like, a dog using, doesn't spiral. If you sense this spiral, what an amazing movement that is here for this to come through, and how many times we use that in life, this spiraling. So this spiraling of your arm, how that moves, is most efficient way and of not only using the muscle, but lengthening and strengthening. So a weak muscle is a tight muscle. A strong muscle is a muscle that has full length and full contraction. And we gain that strength and that lengthening by spiraling along the bone, getting the muscles to spiral around the bone. So this is what the course is about, this long spiral. And it's a little bit of a step on from the word functional fitness is really well used now, and it's really good to see that the word functional fitness. And I remember way back in the 90s, a man who's still very sort of predominant in the fitness world, Paul Check, but taking the fitness world by storm in the 90s. I was at a lecture at Loughborough University, and he started talking about sort of like, being in a gym and doing these two-dimensional movements with the actual equipment that they have. So it's not such sort of like a bench press per se is two-dimensional. It's the fact that you are fixed into a machine when you sit on those chairs, and that's all you're working through the plane of movement. And what he told us was that in that those pieces of equipment came out of the polio epidemic. So physiotherapists once upon a time were highly skilled massage therapists. However, what happened in the polio epidemic is that physios had to adapt to retrain and rehabilitate people after polio. And so they started to isolate muscle training. However, and that's basically what our modern physiotherapy world is built on, which is brilliant, and it works wonders if you are in rehabilitation. However, for a normal functioning person, that is not how we never isolate muscles. So we've got this term that comes out of that, and that's where functional fitness has come from, this understanding of going back to how old school gyms where they don't have these fixed chairs and you sit moving in two dimensionals. So that is functional fitness. And it's that the whole body is moving together to stabilize, to move. And so SomaSpirals is moving on from, is also functional fitness, but it's inspired, as I've put SomaSpirals, is something that I've put together over the last 2 years that I've been working on. And it's inspired by a lot of contemporary dance. And contemporary dancers, if you look at them, they have this amazing relationship to the ground and the movement. It's very organic. And if you look, they have this ability to be able to get down to the ground and up, which feels like it looks like they defy gravity. But what that's about is moving in spirals, efficient patterns of moving, and understanding how we can organize our limbs and our whole body for efficient patterns of movement to come up, down, and around. And we gain so much in terms of mobilization. We gain so much in terms of lengthening of our muscles and fluidity and flexibility, and we gain so much in terms of strength. So that's a little bit of where the theory of SomaSpirals comes from and what we'll be teaching. But then in terms of how I'm going to teach this course, which starts tonight at 7:15, it's this 6-week course. Over this period of lockdown that we've had and I think is this now about 10 months, it's been a challenge for how I teach. So those of you who've been to my classes will know that I very rarely stand at the front and just demonstrate and just do the whole move with the class following. That's not the way I teach. You'll very rarely see me do that. I usually walk around, and I've spent decades working on communication. I really, really enjoy and get a lot of passion out of communicating so that your body can, so that you can sense and be inside that somatics and response. There's not such a thing as a right and wrong way. There is the body that there's a similarity that we all have in the way that our bones and anatomy and muscles are, but there is also our uniqueness of that. And that uniqueness can be something sometimes you're born with. So for example, some people's hip sockets and the ball and socket joint simply will never open that much, that wide, because the bone structure won't allow them. So there is your own uniqueness. We are similar and have our own uniqueness. That uniqueness can also be from habits and patterns. You won't believe how much that simply you will pick up from your parents or your primary carers, of like people around you when you're younger, even down to how you walk, your mannerisms, and that will start to change your whole structure and your anatomy of how you are. And then there's things like trauma, events, things falling over, accidents, all of those will again make your own body unique in terms of how you respond. So therefore, if you are doing a class and you're looking at a teacher and you're then craning your head as well as trying to replicate the shape that they've put themselves into, that is not listening to your unique body's way of doing it, and it's also not somatic. So somatic is listening to inside of the messages that your body is getting to and responding to that information. So in terms of responding to that, we've also then, when you're doing a class, in terms of what the pain response is. So we generally say, if something's painful, the way to do that is to feather. The term that Joe uses is to feather and come as close to that place as you can. So if that's the pain place, you feather and find out. And the reason we do that is because today could be different from yesterday. Right now could be different from this morning. And you may have a continual assumption that when you do this, it's painful. But actually, today, this might be more painful, short of, or that might be painful. How do you know? And it's that assumptions that can sometimes restrict us and stop us reaching potential or taking care of ourselves if that pain happens before. However, and this is a very difficult subject, there can be such a thing as good pain. Okay. If in doubt, we don't push into any sort of pain whatsoever. There are now, even in lockdown, there are physios. I think they're in a level 5 band. If they can take very short appointments. There are physios taking online appointments. So if you're in any doubt, please just do the feather technique. But there is such a thing as sometimes going into and feeling, and people will know that naturally if that feels like a good pain or not. So in terms of then the teaching, in terms of how I'm going to teach this, having said all that, and I've been playing with different ways of teaching over the last 10 months, and it was very alien for me when I first came into, particularly somebody who doesn't demonstrate and will just respond and watch all the time to what's happening and what's in, particularly on week 1 of a course. I'm going to try a different way this week, this course. So I'm going to break the course down. So week 1, I am going to do some demonstrations and I will run through the move and I will actively ask you to come up and maybe have a watch so that you're not craning your head in strange positions to see me. So you can look at what the move is, but then go back into dropping and take your time to go into somatically sensing how that feels. So talking of head and eyes and neck, one of the things we are going to cover on this course is the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is part of the autonomic nervous system. It's part of the parasympathetic nervous system, and you've got ventral vagal and dorsal vagal. I'm not going into any more technical things, but how do you switch on your relaxation response? So a very simple way of doing that, the vagus nerve has a lot to do with social connection, face, eyes, and facial expression. It's about sort of that feeling connected. So eye movement, we'll be using a lot of eye movement, helps spring on the vagal nerve. So does head turning, so eye and head turning. Yawning will stimulate the vagus nerve response. So does swallowing. It's a little bit suckling. So when it give you, that's why it's that dummy or sucking your thumb thing when they were little. So that's swallowing. So we'll be working with the vagal nerve as well for that relaxation response. So there's a lot in this course in terms of spirals. We will then also be looking at the eye, head, yawn, turning, and eyes follow hand. So again, when you're young, when you're born, when you're learning to move, it's the eyes that move first. It's the head that then follows what they've seen in curiosity. And it's the hand that then reaches out to find what the eyes have seen. And that's how we learn to move. However, as we get older, it reverses in the opposite direction. So the first thing to go is we lose range of eye movements. So we don't get full, that's why eye exercises are really important. We lose this full range of eye vision. Then after that, so then we just turn the head. So then we get stiff necks, and this can be caused by all sorts of different postural things that goes on. So the head eventually doesn't be able to turn. And then who experiences needing to know what's behind you in the car? So it's not eyes, it's not neck, and it becomes to turn round. So we lose it in the reverse order of the way that we gained it when we were a baby. So again, so we'll be looking in SomaSpirals at this, what I call the owl movement. I've named it the owl. It's the eyes, head, torso follows, hands. So as you can see, it's a really organic way of moving. If you've just joined us, hello. Thank you, Vicky. You're loving the explanations. As you'll know, sometimes when I get talking, it's like I can go on and on and on, but I'm glad you're finding that really useful. But the SomaSpirals has become such a passion of mine. Just it feels after all the years I've been teaching, it's a combination I've put together. I've fed in through that bits of the Pilates, there's the somatics, there's the pandiculation, there's a lot of dance movements in there. I was talking about the contemporary dance. It's such an exciting course, and I'm really pleased to be bringing this to you. And also my 10 months that I've had in terms of changing the way I'm teaching due to being online and wanting to connect with you more and adapt the way that is in terms of working somatically and how you respond. But as I've just been describing with the eyes, what I don't, and the head movement is because this is so important to the integral movement of the whole body, the last thing I want you to do is be getting yourself into some shape that you're trying to replicate and then like craning your head in some strange position to look at me. None of that is the way that I teach that. It's about trusting, sometimes closing your eyes and listening. And I've spent many decades, the communication of how, when I'm teaching, is really important. I've got a real passion about watching people respond and how I communicate and what happens in your body, and then honoring your unique way of being that body. So this course starts this evening at 7:15. It's part of the Live 6 course. The Live 6 course, it's amazing what we've got on offer. If you didn't catch this broadcast from the very beginning, do rewatch right at the beginning. I said hello to some brand new people we've got interested in. I was saying hello to everybody who's joined us on the Live 6, and we've got some new members plus. So good morning, Lulu. Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Lorraine. Good morning, Louise Stannard, and we've got a few Louises there. So I do hope you could join us on the Live 6 course. We've got tonight with me with SomaSpirals beginning. If you've not caught all that, please do rewatch that. There's the in-depth information about how I'm teaching that with the SomaSpirals. It's just a beautiful, I've got such a passion about how this moves. Once you start to move like this, it's the sort of thing that brings such a pleasure back into your body. I'm saying most people have no idea how good their bodies can feel responding to that pleasure response. And what I like about it is it's once you start to get this, it's the sort of thing that when you wake up in bed in the morning, even in the bed, you can sort of go, oh, I remember that curl, and I can remember this move, and I can squeeze my knees up here and arms there and neck goes there. It's such a movement that you can integrate into your lives, and hopefully it will inspire you to get down on the ground because it's so enjoyable, and just get down there and enjoy moving around. And those of you who do the dance with us, gives you a repertoire of movements of how to enjoy and move on the ground much more. Moving on the floor is the secret of staying young, that pliability. You don't need things like weights and fitness training, all these other things. I'm not saying that they aren't good. There's lots of benefits to doing all those, but you know, this relationship that you have right there in your front room without anything else is just amazing. We can do that. So I'll see you tonight at 7:15. As the Live 6, we've also got, you have lots of things there. If you've not done this before and you don't know anything about these courses, it includes 3 sessions a week. Jo is with you on a Wednesday morning at 9:45 with her somatic yoga. There's information out there. She, again, is working through a different part in the body all the way every week. And then Saturday mornings will now be by Zoom because we're wanting people to connect more. And so that's a new format for us, but lots of people are getting familiar with Zoom now. And that's on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for Embodied Dance with Jo. So the lives for all of those 3 classes a week for 6 weeks, that's £40. And you can find it on the website. Please contact me if you've got any questions about what we've just been talking about, and I would love to see you this evening. So if anybody's got any questions, do please just type down there in the questions. I've just seen Anise. Hello, Anise. Nice to see you. Anise is down in Devon. How are the little ones doing? So we've got lots to be covering on that course. I will actually, what I'll do is I've just got marked down here on my spiral graph down here is the wash rag move. This is a movement that many of you will already be familiar with, but it's a good one just to recap on the full body of a spiral. And I'm going to do it because many of you know it. So if you want to join us for the wash rag, where we experience a full spiral through the body, I'd just like you to create some space. Remember, for the SomaSpirals, you don't even need a mat. What you need for SomaSpirals is just something that you can feel really warm and comfortable on, that you can slide on. So mats are no good because you stick. So let's do a wash rag full body SomaSpiral. So if you have your knees bent and you lie down and put your knees and feet together with knees bent, put your arms out wide to the side. Don't have them too high, otherwise you tend to hutch your shoulders up a little bit close to your ears. And then as you're just settling there, just sense your breathing. And just how are you today? And if you remember from everything we have just been talking about, that will vary from day to day and even moment to moment. And I mean that really literally, not just with emotions, but with your body as well. So never assume with your body how something was yesterday. It's there or it's not there today. So listen for what you're sensing right now. And I'd like you to just swallow a few times. And when you've swallowed a few times, relax your jaw. Sense your top lip touching your bottom lip. A space between your teeth, and your tongue can rest, the tip of your tongue can rest on the roof of your mouth. So you're gently breathing in through your nose and sense the air spiraling like a helter-skelter down into your lungs. And then without moving your head, I'd like your eyes to look to the far corner of your eyes, either way, as far as you can, and see what you can see. Can you see the floor or your hand without moving your head? And sense, oh, maybe a yawn. It may or may not start. You may yawn. And then bring your eyes back to center. Take your eyes to look the other way without moving your head. There may be a sense to yawn with a deep breath in, opening your mouth. Can you see your hand? Can you see more on the ground? Just resist the temptation to move your head and bring it back to neutral. And again, eyes look the other way. And your eyes are so curious as to what's on the ground by the side of your ear that your eyes keep looking, and it pulls your head as far as you possibly can and look on the floor. And again, you may sense, oh, it's a yawn, maybe a deep yawn. Keep looking. Can you see what's on the ground right by your head? And it'll return to neutral. Eyes the other way. Don't move the head yet. Sense that curiosity. Look what's on the ground and feel the eyes pull the head. Remember that baby learning to move. It's like eyes look and the head then turns. Maybe a yawn starts and come back to neutral. Lovely. We're now going to leave one palm upwards and turn your other arm. Lift a little finger in the air So the little finger lifts and you turn the arm all the way over and turn it so you're trying to get the palm downwards. With your opposite hand, lift the thumb side, which is your radius side we've talked about. Lift the thumb and turn it all the way over again so it goes palm downwards. Can you sense how you've now spiraled? Can you keep turning those arms in that direction as far as you possibly can? And then let's turn the other way. Turn the other way. So you should have hands turning in opposite directions. So they're not turning both palms downwards at the same time. One turns up and right the way over, one turns down and continues to go right round. Lovely. Squeeze. This is called the wash rag. So sense this spiral, and can you feel that go right across? Can you make more of your shoulders move? Can you feel it go right across through your ribs and your chest, like you're wringing out a dishcloth? Get maximum spiral in your arms and let that relax. Lovely. Okay. Now let's let two knees drop down to the side. Lovely. Can you now squeeze the knees together and take a deep breath, yawning? And as you sigh your breath out, come back to neutral. Take two knees down the other side. Breathe in and yawn. And bring that back to neutral. So slowly we're going to combine and add those all together. So I'd like your eyes to look one way. Let the head turn. Turn that palm upwards and your opposite hand turns downwards and spiral. Now let's go the other way. Eyes look, head turns, palms up. So you've got one, the hand you're looking towards is palm up and turning further. And the other palm is downwards and turning further. Yawn. Lovely. And again. So this time, the side that you're looking to, your knees go in the opposite direction. Breathe in, yawning. And then turn the opposite way. So it's a really simple move. It's one that many of you are familiar with. But if you break it down and you feel every part of your body, so you're really sensing your eyes wanting to look to what's on the floor, your head's turning as far as you can, feathering into where's comfortable, really spiraling the arms from the shoulder joint as far round as you can, and then really squeezing the top knee down in towards the ground, and then finding your yawn. So which is the place that you're noticing in your body? Is it your eyes? Is it the yawning? Is it your waist? Is it your shoulders? So this is a more well-known, those of you who have come to the classes regularly, this is a more well-known one. And you can continue with that as long as you're enjoying that. And if you've completed that, we can just come back to rest. And what are you sensing now? Any changes from when you started at the beginning? More often than not, we connect, more of our body can sense that connected to the ground more. You can feel heavier, more places of your body touch the floor. There's less space underneath, maybe a back of a wrist or your low back or between the neck. The heaviness in your arms, feet, shoulders. So again, fine-tuning our sensory feedback and soma scans, the more, again, a musician and artists fine-tune their senses. The more you notice, the more you strengthen those neural pathways, the more information you will receive. You strengthen those neural pathways. So taking your time, you can stay lying there for a little bit longer. So I hope you've enjoyed our introduction to the SomaSpirals. There's lots of information there. It was if you have any questions, please do put that in the comments box, and I look forward to seeing you this evening. If you've just joined us halfway through at the end, please do have a look or watch on replay, because there's lots and lots of information there, and I was saying hello to lots of people who are joining us this evening. So thank you very much. Have a lovely morning, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Good morning.